Hi there, my name's Stanton Jack, and I'm a pro tyer for Togens Fly Shop, and today we're going to be tying a pheasant tail nymph. Materials we're going to use is UTC 70 in brown, a Togens nymph 2X long size 12 nymph hook. For a thorax, we're going to be using Togens prison dubbing in peacock. This is fantastic stuff. Lead wire to give it a bit of weight in .010. Togens copper wire in small, and Nature Spirit pheasant tail in natural. All right, so let's get started. We have our size 12 Togens nymph hook in here in a 2X long. I'm going to take a little piece of .010 lead wire. I'm going to give it a few wraps on there. 7 or 9 wraps here. Push it all together, pinch it off on each end, and it's okay if it's a little bit loose. You're going to tighten that all up when you get your thread down around it. So you just keep that there like that, pinch it all together, come on with your thread. Spring scissors here, get nice and close, tie it down, move that up, and you're going to go about a little over an eye width away. So your eye width here, make it 1 eye width there. Just going to pinch that in there. Then you put a little thread down so it doesn't move forward anymore. Straighten out your thread. You're just going to do a couple ones to get to the back, put a little dam there. Little piece there, and then you're just going to kind of go over it with diagonal wraps to just keep it secure. There we go, and you're going to go over that again with your thread. So now here, straighten out your thread with a couple counterclockwise spins, because you want to have your thinner body here. And I usually just go past the bend there. It's okay if you just go past the bend a bit here. And what you're going to do, normally on these pheasant tails, you're representing a Batis pattern here. Specifically, if you're in region or in BC, you're doing a calabatis pattern here. And normally you might have 2 or 3 tail pieces on the naturals, but because you're tying a fly here and you're going to catch fish with this fly, I like to tie in about 6 or 7. Give it a good few so it can last a few fish with you. So all I'm doing here is I'm taking my pheasant tail clump, and I'm taking them and I'm just pulling them straight here. And then they'll all align like that. And then once you get it, you can grab it, pinch it, come in, grab my all-purpose, general-purpose scissors here, give it a cut. Tie it in here in just 2 loose wraps. 1, 2, well 3. And then you're just going to pull that to length. Now, if it was a river pattern, you'd want these much shorter. On the lake patterns, the stillwater patterns, you can go a bit longer. It actually makes a nice little attractor like that, right? Some people go and they wrap it underneath and they prop it up. I don't find that's necessary. When this thing's swimming, it's just pulling straight anyhow. So then I come here and I'm just securing all of that in there like that, and I'll go right up to my where I put in my lead wire. And you don't want to go over it. You want to cut it just in front of it, and that's going to help build your taper. Right like that. Come here, and you're going to go like this. And you're just going to build that up there, right up by the wire. So that builds a nice smooth taper there. And then you're going to take your copper wire. This is your Togens copper wire. I already cut a strip for myself. Maybe 1.5 to 2 hook lengths. And I'm just tying it in facing me. So it looks like that. I'm just going to give that a counterclockwise. You see how that thread straightens out nicely with the counterclockwise. And you want to keep that nice and flat going all the way back. And bring it right up to the tail. Get on there, straighten it out again. And you're going to kind of go up a little bit further here. Maybe one more. And you're going to tie in your abdomen section. So for the abdomen section, grabbing another piece of your pheasant tail, come in here, maybe grab half a dozen fibers, pull them straight so you got your tips. Then what I like to do is, so when the tips are arching up like that, you're just going to come in, pull them straight, and just go over them once, twice, nice and loosely, maybe 3 or 4 times. And then you want them to taper down so you're getting the thin part of the pheasant tail. So I'm just pulling it like this, and I'm wrapping it back. And as I wrap back with my loose wraps, I can pull it even more to get right down to the thin, thin taper. This is really nice to do because this gives you that nice taper where it's thinner at the tail and more thickness up going towards the wire. And that will do that naturally with the pheasant tail. So then what I do, I come up here, take my Togens whip finisher. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, right up at the front there. Actually, put that a little further back. I'm just going to redo that because I want to go kind of right over the wire with it. Like that. And I come over here, put that on my bobbin holder. Now, nice thing is, I'm using a Renzetti Master Vise here. It has the adjustable hinge arm. This is really good because it keeps my, when I'm doing the rotary function here, it keeps it on a nice axis where it's not wobbling like this when I'm turning. You don't need a rotary vise for this fly. You can, just turn it by hand or just wrap it around with your hand manually. I like to use a rotary vise because I find it allows me to really see. So as I'm coming in here, I'm just wrapping this in a clockwise motion, and then you can see it as I get up to the top, it's getting thicker. And that's the pheasant tail and how we tied it in. I'll go right up to there, get that out of the way. And then I'm going to secure it. 1, 2, 3, and 1 in front, or 2 in front there. A little bit of wire sticking out here. I'm just going to finish that down. And I got my spring scissors nice and close, hack that in there, and just go over the loose ones. You're going to be tying something else in that anyway with your wire and stuff, so it doesn't matter. A little bit of that lead wire showing there. Just kind of give that a few wraps to get that down. Let's go in and do the same thing again here. Bring back my bobbin holder, turn it this way, and now I'm going to go counterclockwise. And what this is going to do is you've gone this way with your pheasant tail, and you're going to go opposite. This just really gives it a nice secure, this isn't going anywhere when you put your copper wire in. I mean, it's not the end of the world if your copper is a little off here. I'm just making sure, being a little bit picky maybe. And go like that, hold your wire, move it out of the way, bring your thread back over, and you're just going to secure that 1, hold your wire, 2, cinch it down, 3, 2 in front. And then just helicopter that off there. All right. So what you have a tail. All right, nice few fibers there. You've got an abdomen section with your ribs. And now we get the fun part. We get to create the wing case and the legs. So this is a bit trickier, but the more you practice this, the better you get with it. Because we're going to do a split wing case for our legs. So what I'm doing here, if you're wondering, you're going to, normally these things have about 3 legs on each side, the naturals. You're going to put about 5 or 7 on each side, because once the trout start hitting these, they really pick off the legs. So all I'm doing is I'm bringing my fibers back, keeping it nice and straight like that. And you want to try and get these ones nice as straight as possible, pulling it kind of parallel or 90 degree there. And then you're going to come in here, cut off there. And then what you want to do is adjust them all like this. So you've got arching up like that. That's what you want, because when you bring it over, you're going to have that nice pattern there as your wing case. So same thing again. Tie them in lightly. Bring them up to the front like that. Nice, lightly secured. And then you're going to adjust your length like that. Now, these things naturally have shorter legs, but with your patterns, with your fly patterns, you want longer legs. You want more movement, more breathing effect, more really triggers the trout when they see the legs kicking and the tail moving and coming, being tied in like that. So then I'm just going to come over. I'm going to tie these down like this. Just let me straighten out my thread here. Go over that. I'm just securing that because that's going to be my thorax part. Then here, when you get up to the front here, you're then going to go in front and you're just going to tie these in a couple wraps in the front here like that. And what that's doing is it's just helping that stick up like that. And then I'm going to bring my thread back, and then I've got my Togens Prism in Peacock. This stuff is a trout magnet. It's really, really good. I've been using it on my river patterns, on my lake patterns. It's easy to dub in, and it's got this fantastic copper, I don't know if you can see the fibers there, these little copper fibers. When the light hits those, they just light up. You just take a little bit at a time. One of the mistakes a lot of people make is when they're tying in dubbing, they go and put a huge pinch in. You don't want to. You want to cover your thread. You're better to do little pinches, and then I'm just going to break that up a little bit, and then tie it in bit by bit. If you need to, keep your hands a little wet, wet your fingers down a little bit. A little bit of water or saliva can go a long way with putting in dubbing like this. And then you're just going to build that. You can see how that's popping already, right? Well, that is your fish magnet stuff right there. And you better just to do a couple. You can kind of go over it if you need to, right? I'm going to put a little bit more on there just to cover my thread, then go over the actual dubbing part again. There we go. There. Then I'm going to bring this forward like this. I'm going to go over here, do a couple wraps. Now, this is the tricky part. So you've got all these kind of roostered up like that. You're then going to take them, push them back, and that's going to be your legs. And you're going to split them like this. So you have a couple on each side. I mean, if you have one side that's has more, that's okay too, but as long as you do your best to give them kind of an equal amount. Sometimes I take my scissors, I close them, and I just go in like that and I push them just to split them. Then, here's the moment of truth. You're then going to pull this forward like that, wet your fingers down, and pull these back. I kind of blew it on that one. Pull them back, pull this forward, and then do a light wrap to secure. Maybe 2 or 3, kind of pull it back like this. and then that's going to bring your wings down, or your legs, sorry. Going to wrap it back like that, pull it forward, 1, 2, and then you can kind of move these around as you need to. One kind of slip through there, we'll cut him off. It's okay. And then we're going to come in here. What I like to do too, if I'm getting like that and the eye starts to move on me, like a thread starts to move on me, I just adjust that up so I got a slight angle. And I come in here and I clip. I probably could have clipped that a little closer there, but that's okay, I'll get it with the thread wraps. Now, one of the things here, people when they're tying a lot of their nymphs, is they get worried about the front part behind the eye. You want that. If you see these Baetis patterns, they have heads. They don't just have a wing case and then just an eye. So it's actually good. Build up your behind your eye there. Build your head. How I do that is I just straighten this out, and my thread flattens that out a bit. My legs need to get pulled back a little bit. And then I come in here like this, grab my whip finisher, one, 2, 3, building up that head, 4, 5. I might even build that up a little bit more. 1, 2. Oh, got a leg in there. Get out of there. 3, 4, 5. And that there is your pheasant tail. Then what you can do here is you come in, you can clean it all up the way you want to. You know, you can tack down these fibers a bit if you want, give them a little trim. Either way, it's just fishy having a little bit of bug, a little bit of thorax there. Then wet your fingers down. You can come and put these into place, your legs. And if you can get them like that, you bring them down, calm them. And then it's up to you. You can leave it like this. You can go over and put a little bit of UV on your wing case. It's totally up to you. You know, make them all the way you want them. But that in the water, you can see how those fibers move like that. That in the water will get you fish. For today, I'm just going to come in with a little bit of Sally Hansen, and I'm just going to pull my legs down, and I'm going to drop a nice glob right on the top of that wing case. Take your bodkin. So how I do it here, this has been mixed a couple times, and I come in, and I just take a nice glob like that. There we go. Hang on a second, why is that not? And I drop it right on the wing case, like so. And that, when that dries and hardens, that gives you a nice, strong fly that will last. And then you can put some on your head, and tuck your legs back there, and there it is. Go underneath too and put a little bit on your thread underneath here if you want. Just try not to hit your legs. And that is your head and your pheasant tail. Got a nice thorax there as an attractor. And there it is, your pheasant tail nymph. So, with our pheasant tail nymph here, on a size 12 2XL, that's a really standard size, or a good size to use for a nymph hook in most of our still waters, size 12 2XL. This fly has no bead, but it has the lead wrapped weights. So it's just enough when you're casting this out, say on a 10-foot leader, it just, as your fly line's sinking on a wet line, it'll just kind of help the fly level out instead of the line going down and the fly sticking up and drifting like that. It just kind of helps it level out in the surface or in a parallel line. The nice thing about it too, when they're unweighted like this, when you're pulling them through, I like to fish this in about with these pheasant tails, about 10 feet of water or less on on an intermediate line, maybe 1.5 inches per second sink rate. And this will, when your line's coming down like that, this starts sinking down with it. And when you start retrieving it, it's going to give you that nice 45-degree angle presentation. Whereas sometimes when you, and there is a time to use the bead versions of these, sometimes when you're using the bead, it actually sinks a little quicker than your line. So when you're pulling it, it starts sinking. When you have these unweighted or just with a little bit of lead wire like that, it's gonna keep that presentation on a 45-degree angle like an emerging mayfly nymph.